Hello YouTubers and fellow Whovians, and welcome to a brand new Doctor Who action figure review. For today's review, I am going to be talking about this set. Yes, the War Doctor and Dalek Scientist set. Now this is, believe it or not, quite an exciting set for me because I never owned a War Doctor figure, so all of this is very exciting for me. Plus we've got another Dalek, and who doesn't want more Dalek variants? So once again, packaging's very nice. You've got the window box with the figures displayed inside. You've got the title of where this set is based on. So it's based off A Thing of Guile, which is a story from one of the War Doctor sets. We've got more info about this on the back with a bio of the story and all of that, as well as a image of the CD cover. We've got images of the figures there on the side, as well as a little bit more of the window box. And there again, you've got the nice artwork, which you see on the amazing cover art of the CD, which was made by Big Finish a couple of years ago now, when that set came out. And yeah, it also says limited edition, so if you're into the figures, I say pick this up pretty fast, because a few of these are going. But I think these are easier to get because there's quite a few people who got the original releases of the War Doctor, so I think out of the 3 Big Finish sets of the 8th, 7th and War Doctors, this may be the one which may be the easiest to get, I'd say, as more people will be keen on getting that Dark Eyes 8th Doctor, as well as the TV movie-esque 7th Doctor. So without further ado, enough of the ramblings, let's actually talk more about the figures outside of the box. And here are the figures outside of the box. So, there's only one place to start, and it is the War Doctor. At last, finally I have a War Doctor action figure. I've wanted one for years, I've always missed out on it. Finally, here we go. Finally I can give you a review of a War Doctor action figure. I'm quite looking forward to this. So, looking at the head sculpt, marvellous. Just looks like John Hurt. Really, really happy with the head sculpt. One of the best head sculpts that has been done by Character Options. Just the wash in the hair, different streaks of grey, little tiny bits of black, but mostly white for this variation anyway. And on the beard and the eyebrows, totally dig it. It just looks... I'm just lost for words, really. It's amazing. It's just such a shame that we never got to see more of this character, as sadly John Hurt has since passed away. As for the body, well, it is, as far as I know, this exact same as what we've had before, but seeing as I've never ever reviewed a War Doctor figure, because I never owned one before this, we're going to take a more in-depth look at the detail of his coat. Now, I always thought that the War Doctor's coat was sort of like an amalgamation. It's like classic series meets new series, because you look at it and you think, oh yeah, it looks a little bit like the 9th Doctor. It's all battered as well, as if he's just come out of the Time War. After all, this is the Doctor now that we know is associated mostly with the Time War. He lived many, many years through it, and he fought many, many battles against those dastardly Daleks. And the coat just looks amazing. The different washes of brown all around makes it look battered, ruined. It really works. Now, as I mentioned, the War Doctor's costume, for me, it sort of is like an amalgamation of classic Who and new Who. On the actual costume, what he wears in the Day of the Doctor, he wore a scarf, like a neck scarf sort of thing. So I guess that may have been a reference to the Fourth Doctor, clutching at straws there. And past variants of this figure that we've had, like the last two that we had before this, included a scarf. Here it doesn't. Apparently they did it because they just wanted to make it look fresh. Okay, fair enough. I mean, I think it probably does look better with the scarf from the pictures that I've seen and the reviews that I've seen through the years. But I guess that they wanted to make this difference to all the other variants that we've had so far. So, fair enough. Not necessarily as good, but it's another variant at the end of the day. The waistcoat, or whatever it is underneath, I think it's a waistcoat, it's been painted in like a lime green, and it works very well. You've got all the silver buttons there as well. Really shines off the light here, doesn't it? And you've got this chain here, which I'm guessing is supposed to be like some sort of chain for a fob watch. I mean, there's something underneath there, but I don't really want to damage this figure because this is the only War Doctor figure I have. The bandolier is present here. Now, if you got the original release of the Night of the Doctor, 8th Doctor, then you will know that the bandolier came as a separate accessory. Here it is part of the sculpt of this figure, and I think it really does stand out. Again, really shines on the camera here. Obviously, under here, he's wearing what seems to be like a vest, and got a couple of buttons there. Not much detail in there, to be honest. It looks pretty plain. So I guess it would have been better if it came with the scarf, but you can't win everything. I'm not going to complain too much at the end of the day, because I'm just glad I've got this damn figure, finally, after so long. The belt underneath is brown, and you've got different sections of it. Obviously where he would wrap his belt around, black and silver buckle there. And the legs have been painted in different washes, or the trousers have been painted in different washes, I should say, really. They're not his legs, you know, he's not naked from the bottom half onwards, folks, so don't worry, kids. I think that works very well. Of course, he is wearing his boots as well, and they are very, very nicely sculpted. All the creases in there, little buttons there as well, to show that he's fastened them up, and they're not all completely fastened, as you can see. Got a little silver buckle there at the sole of the bottom of the boots, just there, and it's more or less the same there. You can also notice that both boots aren't exactly the same, which I think is really good attention to detail. So overall, for the detail for this figure, it's flawless. It is one of the best figures ever produced by Character Options. The only downside, and it's not for the figure itself, it's just for the choice of variation of this, for me, is the lack of the scarf. But we do have variants with the scarf. It's just unfortunate for me that I have a variant without the scarf. But who knows, maybe we may get some more in the future. As for the articulation, it is as follows. The head can move from side to side. I don't want to do a 360-degree turn, because this is the only War Doctor figure I have, and I don't really want to damage the paint around it. Oh, just look at that from the side. That just looks like a dead ringer for John Hurt. Again, I just can't get over how good the detail is. I mean, I knew it was good just by looking at pictures, but actually having it in the flesh now, it's just really good. The arms can do a 360 turn. They're also ball jointed as well, which is a little bit of a added bonus, so he has more posability than a few of the figures that have been released in this batch of B&M figures. There's 360-degree turn in the biceps if you want to. His elbows can move up and down. His wrists, they are able to do 360-degree turns. The waist can move around. There is articulation in the legs, and they can go from side to side. A little bit hindered by the coat, but I'm not going to complain. And there's articulation in the knees, and there's also articulation in the boots, and you can swivel them around. So overall, articulation as well is very good. You can have more variety with how you want to pose this particular character. Here he is next to the Night of the Doctor, 8th Doctor, and here is the War Doctor with his future selves, as we all saw in the 50th anniversary special, The Day of the Doctor. And here is the Dalek Scientist action figure. I'm not going to talk much about this figure because this looks much more like the normal Time War Daleks that we've been used to for all of these years. The only notable differences really is the dome. It's been painted silver. Got a bit of a wash on there to just give it that bit of versatility. It's not just a simple silver wash, so I'm kind of glad that they did that. Again, a bit like the Axis Strike Squad Dalek, the slats have been painted gold, and that does stand out, I must say. The gun has been painted silver, and the plunger has been painted silver. Black at the edge there. It's pretty standard, to be honest with you. And finally, the hemispheres have also been painted silver instead of the standard gold that we see on these type of Daleks. Oh yeah, and the fender is black, and you've got the sculpted bolts at the bottom. And articulation, I'm going to go through this again just for the sake of it. Head goes all the way around. Eye goes up and down. And again, very bendy, especially this one. Plunger and whisk, they can do 360-degree turn, and this has wheels at the bottom as well. And I'm getting interrupted by a motorbike in the background, but oh well. Overall, pretty nice figure. And that is the War Doctor and Dalek Scientist set. I must say I was most excited for this set for finally picking up a War Doctor action figure, because as I've said before, I never managed to get the first two releases, so it is brilliant that finally we have a War Doctor figure which is actually being released in a retailer instead of being something which is quite rare. And the Dalek I wasn't that much excited about, but actually it is very welcome. One thing I would say though is it is probably my least favourite Dalek variant out of the three that we've got in these new B&M sets, with the others being the Dalek Interrogator Prime and the Axis Strike Squad Dalek. But that's not to say that this isn't a good Dalek. I still quite like the colours, like the silver hemispheres at the bottom and just the silver at the top, etc. But overall, if there's one reason to get this set, then I say that it is for the War Doctor. If, like myself, you missed out on the original release of the War Doctor, then this set is definitely for you. It is an absolutely amazing figure, and you're getting another Dalek figure, and you can't get enough of Daleks. So thank you very much for watching my Doctor Who action figure review of the War Doctor and Dalek Scientist set, exclusive to B&M stores. Grab them now, while stocks last, and stay tuned for more Doctor Who action figure reviews coming to the channel, and I shall see you in the next one. Cheerio!